Welcome to Austin on the Air. I'm Stacy Malesiewski, and today we are dedicating this entire episode to a disease that affects 28 million Americans, including 1 in every 15 children, and yet remains deeply misunderstood. We're talking about asthma, not just what it feels like, not just how to manage it. Tonight, we're going to talk about why so many people are developing it and what you can do about it. May is Asthma Awareness Month, and we think awareness should mean more than just handing someone an inhaler. It should mean asking harder questions. Here's what we know. Asthma is a chronic inflammatory disease of the airways. When the airways encounter a trigger, say dust, mold, smoke, a chemical fume, they swell, mucus increases, the muscles surrounding the airways tighten, and breathing, which the rest of us take completely for granted, it becomes a fight. Most people with asthma manage it with medication. And medication matters. But here's the question we're not asking loudly enough. Why are so many people developing asthma in the first place? Nearly 44% of asthmatic children in this country have uncontrolled asthma. That means almost half of all asthmatic children are not getting better, despite having access to medication. If we've had inhalers for decades, why are we not winning? The answer, we believe, is right inside your home. Tonight, we're going to show you what the research says and what some extraordinary families have experienced firsthand. Let's start with the numbers and what they're really telling us. 28.2 million Americans, $82 billion in economic burden every year, 5.2 million school days lost. These are not small numbers. This is a national health crisis, and it's getting worse for adults, even as it has slightly improved in children. So, who is most at risk, and why does someone develop asthma to begin with? The risk starts before a child is even born. New research presented at the American Thoracic Society in 2025 found that a mother's exposure to air pollution during pregnancy can increase asthma risk in her adult offspring, with lasting epigenetic changes to the lungs. And critically, the air pollution levels in that study met the World Health Organization's guidelines for safe. Safe by current standards may not be safe enough, though. Maternal smoking during pregnancy is one of the most well-established risk factors. It impairs fetal lung development and alters immune programming. But here's something that surprises most people. Paternal smoking before conception also increases a child's asthma risk through epigenetic changes passed down to the offspring. Vitamin D deficiency during pregnancy is linked to wheezing and asthma in children. High saturated fat diets are associated with increased airway inflammation in offspring. Preterm birth, low birth rate, and cesarean delivery all independently elevate asthma risk. The respiratory health of your child is being shaped long before their first breath. Genetics matter significantly. If a parent has asthma, a child's risk is meaningfully elevated, and the connection extends beyond asthma. Eczema, allergic rhinitis, and asthma, they all appear to share the same underlying genetic pathways, what researchers call the atopic march. A baby with eczema is more likely to develop allergic rhinitis. A child with allergic rhinitis is more likely to develop asthma. They are expressions of the same immune system dysregulation. But genetics are not destiny. Environmental exposures activate or suppress genetic risk. What that means is that the environment that your child grows up in matters enormously. Asthma does not affect all communities equally. Non-Hispanic Black children have asthma prevalence of 12.5%, more than double the rate for non-Hispanic white children at 5.7%. Black Americans are nearly 6 times more likely than white Americans to visit the emergency room for asthma. And gender matters too. In childhood, asthma is more common in boys. After puberty, the pattern reverses. Adult asthma is more common in women, at 11% versus 6.8% in men. Sex hormones appear to play a role in this shift. Coming up, we're going to talk about where asthma is the highest and other environmental triggers. But first, this message. We'll be right back.
I have had asthma all my life. Finally, at 42, I decided it was time to invest. I don't regret it. For the last month and a half, I have not had asthma or allergy symptoms. I sleep better. I stopped using my steroid medication for my asthma because I don't have symptoms. If I would have known earlier, I would have purchased this 20 years ago. I've worked from home for the last 6 months. California has had 7,600 plus fires. I have 2 dogs, and I breathe better than I ever have.
Welcome back to Austin on the Air. Some of you may have seen a previous production we did, a 3-part documentary series on childhood asthma, examining the causes, the geography, the school environment, and the solutions. Over the next few minutes, we're going to share some of the most important moments from those interviews because the experts we spoke with said things that every parent in this country needs to hear. We began with a fundamental question: what is asthma? And what is actually happening inside the body? Dr. Lynn Patrick, one of the founding directors of Environmental Medicine Education International, explained it in a way that I haven't forgotten.
As you can imagine, we as humans have evolved to be able to deal with a lot of stuff in the air. So think our ancestors, they had to deal with volcanic ash, which was full of mercury and arsenic and soot. And we made fires to cook food with. So we have an evolutionary mechanism for actually dealing with exposures. And that mechanism has to do with the lining of the lungs. So just like the intestinal tract, the lung lining has a mucus layer. And this mucus layer is a good layer. It's not a bad layer. And inside of this mucus layer, we have certain things called antioxidants that we usually think of as vitamins, but they're more than that. And the most prominent and the most important antioxidant is a protein called glutathione. And this is the main antioxidant for all mammals. All mammals make glutathione, and all mammals use glutathione to deal with toxicants that enter into the lungs and need to be either broken down or taken away by the immune system. There are other things in that really important mucus lining, like vitamin A, vitamin E, N-acetylcysteine, which is another important antioxidant. So as we are exposed to more and more toxicants, and our body uses up these antioxidants to get rid of those toxicants, the levels in our entire body and in our lung lining drop. And that is a result as well of things that we breathe in, right? So the more toxicants we breathe in, the less glutathione we have, the less capable the lungs are of dealing with these toxicants. And as a result of the lungs not being able to handle those, the lungs literally become inflamed. And as the lungs become inflamed, the entryway into the lungs becomes swollen. And the more swollen the entryway is, and the more swollen the little alveoli, the little grape-like, very thin walled sacs of air in the lungs, the less air the body can get in, right? So the less air you can get into the lungs and the less air you can take up through those alveoli. And as a result, two things happen. One, you're short of breath, obviously, right? But two, you are taking in less oxygen to your tissues, which has a systemic effect.
That is what an asthma attack is at the cellular level. The airway, which should be open, is inflamed, swollen, narrowed, and it's being caused by something your body is encountering. Which brings us to the question everyone asks: what causes it? And the answer surprised us.
And you know, I love the CDC quote. They have the beginning slide says, we don't really know what causes asthma, but we do know how to treat it. And I want to say that's not true. We absolutely know what causes asthma. Things we're not supposed to be breathing in cause asthma. And that's everything from the outdoor pollution we've talked about, to fire smoke, to the indoor pollution that we're going to talk about. And this is a very important piece of information that doctors not only don't know about, but they don't know how to address. And I'm going to include things like mold and the really toxic particles called mycotoxins that are part of that exposome, things we're exposed to in an environment in water damaged buildings where there may be mold and certain bacteria as well. Asthma is also triggered by allergies. So an allergic response is a little bit different than a toxic response, but the effect is the same. The swelling, the inflammation, the release of histamine that causes that swelling.
Most people assume that asthma is a big city problem. High pollution, dense traffic, low income. That's part of the story. But Dr. Patrick told us something that stopped us in our tracks. Rural areas, not cities, the Midwest, America's breadbasket. Dr. Patrick connected the dots.
There's some good data that's come out of Southern California, aka the breadbasket of the United States, looking at proximity or closeness to an agricultural area and the prevalence of asthma. And there's a significant increase, like by 5 times, of risk for asthma in kids who live near agriculture. Now, you could assume that that might be related to dust in the air from agricultural activity. You know, it could be related to many other things, but according to the studies, it's related to pesticide use. California is the only state in the country where you can document exactly how many pesticides are used at any given day during the year in any given county, and even a smaller subsection of a county, right? So these researchers actually matched the use of pesticides so that seasonally, right? Significantly increased prevalence while during the period where pesticides were actually sprayed versus periods where pesticides were not sprayed. And then they looked at distance from that agricultural area, you know, 1 mile, 3 miles, 5 miles. And depending on the wind, the distance could be as high as 5 miles away.
We also spoke with Dr. Anne-Marie Fine, another founding director of Environmental Medicine Education International, about what is happening inside the buildings where children spend their days. Your home is not a neutral space. Every synthetic material, every conventional cleaning product, every plug-in air freshener is adding chemicals to the air your family breathes. And for children with developing lungs or lungs already primed for asthma, that adds up.
One thing impacting the health of adults, teenagers, children, and pregnant moms, I believe, is indoor air. Because indoor air is many times more toxic than outdoor air. Our indoor air begins with our outdoor air, and on top of that, the building materials are off-gassing, the carpet, the glues, the adhesives are off-gassing chemicals, the paint is off-gassing, the couch is off-gassing flame retardants, and there's Teflon covers and PFAS off-gassing into the house. The vinyl shower curtains are off-gassing phthalates into the home. The plug-in air fresheners are particularly problematic because they are off-gassing benzene and formaldehyde and phthalates into the air. The renovated homes are using all of this. They're starting to rip up carpets, which I was so pleased because carpets are so unhygienic and they have a lot of chemical off-gassing and styrene and solvents and all of this stuff and the babies are crawling on the carpet, but they're replacing it with these fake wood called luxury vinyl, which is off-gassing, the phthalates into the air and into the dust too. So cabinets in your home, cabinets and furniture that's not made from actual wooden furniture, it's made from pressed particle board, is made with formaldehyde, and it off-gasses formaldehyde into your home. So formaldehyde is a respiratory irritant.
If all that wasn't enough, we also examined a threat that was once seasonal and is now year-round: wildfire smoke. Wildfire smoke is not just smoke, it's a chemical cocktail. And Dr. Patrick showed us that even brief exposures can have lasting consequences.
Fire smoke we think of as soot, right? It's kind of like little black ashes flying around, but it's actually so much more than that. Wildfire smoke has plastics, pesticides, metals, and other chemicals in it. And so that's a lot of pollution going into the lungs that can trigger asthma. There are different sizes of particulates. We call them PM, particulate matter, that are smaller than a grain of sand and 10 to 100 times smaller than the width of a human hair. Now, the difficult part about these small particulates that we inhale when we are breathing in smoke from a fire is that they are highly irritating to the lining of the lungs, those little sacs, those alveoli, right? So they actually cause damage to those alveoli. There's a whole town actually in Montana, Sealy, Montana, which is right outside of Missoula, where they're actually following a whole cohort of people, looking at their capacity to breathe, their pulmonary capacity, and their health from the period of 2017 when they were hit really hard with wildfires up to now. And even though they haven't been hit with any wildfire smoke after, they were kind of inundated for a period of a couple of weeks. That's all it was. Their capacity, their vital capacity, their ability to breathe is declining faster than it would normally over time. So as we age, that vital capacity declines. It doesn't have to, but it does. And theirs is declining even faster, even though all they were exposed to was that really bad wildfire smoke in 2017.
One bad wildfire season, permanent lung damage. For people who were never formally diagnosed with asthma. Coming up, one family will share their story that'll stay with you. Stay with us and we'll be right back.
If you're looking to improve the quality of your air, I 100% think it does that. Having a kid with asthma, having allergies myself, especially with pets in the house, I definitely think it makes a massive difference. Tyler Helfrich and Kirsty, our family, Vivian, Jesse, Adeline. What I do for work is I have a social media page, so on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, talk about fantasy football. Hopefully doing other sports as well. That's kind of work in progress, but that's what I do.
I'm a life insurance underwriter, so I spend a lot of time reading about medical history on people, see a lot of respiratory illnesses.
We have 2 dogs and they kind of shed, and then a cat who obviously sheds as well.
Lucille, Chloe, and Penelope.
Me and my son are both actually allergic to dogs and cats. Seasonal allergies on top of that as well, so the air quality for us especially has been always great for those reasons.
Like even when we're vacuuming and stuff, they will get pretty wheezy. We do have gas appliances. Mold, we've never had anything officially tested, but definitely think we had some possibly going on in the bathroom. We actually are in the process of redoing the whole bathroom right now. Just in doing all that, having the purifiers in the different rooms, it just gives you some comfort having that for the air.
But she said,
with my asthma.
yeah, he has asthma as well, like intermittent asthma. In terms of health, we just really wanted, for me and him especially, to have better air. The first time we noticed his asthma was, I'd say really over the summertime. When it really kicked in was when all the fires in Canada were going on. It was really foggy here, so that's when we really noticed it. And I would say probably even a little bit before that, just because the seasonal allergies, pop up. And this year for him has been really bad.
Whenever he gets sick, he gets congested a lot. We put the purifier right next to his bed, and that personally gives me comfort in him sleeping, because when he's laying down, seems to be when you hear him wheezing the most. So I just put him right next to that and we crank it up, and I really think it makes a difference, helps him sleep better.
And we blast it and make sure it's on high when he's really having those episodes. And I do think it helps him sleep more throughout the night.
Typically during the day, I'll put it on the lowest setting, but at night, like we talked about before with sleeping, it's very nice with her too, because it's like that white noise. So I put it to the middle, and I feel like that kind of blocks out all the extra noise while she's sleeping too, and keeps her
What do you think, Alex?
hearing less.
Sometimes when it's at like the second or the third, it gets a little loud, but then it starts to get quiet.
If you have a small kid, toddler, baby, I recommend this as well, because we don't have to gate her away from that. She can touch it. She can't really do anything at all to it.
It's easy, it's simple, and they can't really do anything to it. And it's very durable, especially with kids. 100% recommend it to somebody.
Welcome back to the Austin on the Air special report. We've just heard from extraordinary families and some of the leading environmental medicine doctors in the country. Now what do you actually do about all this? Austin Air has produced a free resource called the Breathe Better Toolkit. And I want to walk you through it right now because this is one of the most practical, actionable thing we can offer you tonight. The toolkit is free, it doesn't require a purchase, and it's available below at the link. Here's why it matters. Part 1 of the toolkit is called the Hidden Dangers in Your Home Air, and it walks you through something most families never have been told, that even a clean-looking home can be filled with invisible pollutants that directly impact respiratory health. Let me go through the major ones because these are not abstract. These are things in your home right now. Number 1, volatile organic compounds, also known as VOCs. They're found in cleaning supplies, paints, varnishes, air fresheners, new furniture, and carpeting. They irritate the airways, inflame lung tissues, and with long-term exposure, increase cancer risk. Number 2, nitrogen dioxide, also known as NO2. It's produced by gas stoves, other gas appliances, and tobacco smoke. It contributes directly to asthma and bronchitis and impairs lung function with long-term exposure. But quick side note, research from Johns Hopkins found that an Austin Air purifier actually outperformed a range hood at reducing the NO2 levels in homes with gas stoves. Particulate matter, often referred to as PM 2.5 or PM 10. The tiny particles from cooking, smoking, wood burning, and outdoor pollution that are small enough to penetrate deep into the lungs and even enter the bloodstream. Long-term exposure is linked to respiratory disease, cardiovascular problems, and cognitive decline. These are just a few of the many, so I encourage you to download the toolkit for the complete list. Now, part 2 of the Breathe Better Toolkit is the action plan. It's 9 specific steps you can take to dramatically reduce the toxic burden in your home. Let me walk you through just a couple of them. Step 1, obviously, install a medical-grade air purifier. Prioritize the bedroom first. That's where your body spends 8 hours every night trying to repair itself. Use Austin Air purifiers with both true medical-grade HEPA and activated carbon. That combination removes both the particles and the gases. We'll talk more about why both those matter in just a moment. But step 2, use a real-time air quality monitor. You cannot manage what you cannot measure. Track the PM 2.5, the VOCs, humidity, and the CO2 in real time and get alerts when levels are high. Step 3, your personal care products. And I'm not going to sugarcoat this one. Your shampoo, your lotion, your deodorant, your perfume. They may be working against you. Synthetic fragrances, parabens, phthalates, and formaldehyde are some of the most common ingredients found in the products sitting in your shower and on your bathroom counter right now. Start reading labels. And remember this one thing. If a product just says fragrance on the label with no further disclosure, that's not transparency, that's a loophole. Put it back. Okay, step 4 is your cleaning products. And if I had to pick just one change from this entire list that is going to make the biggest difference in the air quality of your home, this might be it. We are talking about your everyday all-purpose cleaners, your disinfecting sprays, your dryer sheets, products most of us have used without a second thought or our entire lives. But these are some of the most potent sources of airway irritants and toxic chemicals in the average home. Start switching them out for fragrance-free, plant-based alternatives and make a habit of ventilating your home whenever you clean. Even when you're using safer products, fresh air is always your friend. Marilee Nelson is the co-founder of Branch Basics, and the story she told me about what these ingredients were doing stopped me cold. Listen to this.
Asthma is the #1 chronic illness in children. And so many of the chemicals that we have that have so many products have fragrance chemicals in them. Fragrance chemicals are very notorious in themselves. They are a proprietary mix of maybe hundreds of products, ingredients that have never been tested. They are asthmagens, they cause asthma, carcinogens, neurotoxins impact your brain. They impact your hormones, and they also are called obesogens. They can cause metabolic syndrome, and they can also make it very difficult to lose weight no matter what you eat or how much you exercise. Right. So you have one of those products in your house, you've got a problem. If you have disinfectants in your house, and I'm going to give an example of one mother who did all the program. Her child had horrible asthma, was on an inhaler multiple times. She got much better, and her mother was thrilled. And she said, gosh, she's not even using it, but maybe 1 or 2 times a day. I said, That's telling me something. Something is bothering her. She finally confessed that she could not give up the practice of spraying her daughter's bathroom before she came home with a disinfectant. She'd spray it that night, and she'd spray it in the morning before the little girl went in there. And she just was so afraid she was going to catch something. So we talked through it, and I said, look, would you be willing, since you've seen so much success, to take that out of your house and not use it over the weekend?
Just see.
Not going to school. So she's like, okay. You know, of course she thought, this can't be, kind of like my box that was still.
Yeah.
She calls me Monday morning. She said she hasn't needed that inhaler.
Oh,
And that was it.
that was it.
It was just enough to trigger her. And of course, the environment the mother had now created was going to make her daughter stronger and stronger so that she wouldn't react so quickly. And that's why we have to create that safe haven so that.
And that's just 4 out of the 9-step plan. So again, I encourage you to download the Breathe Better Toolkit for the complete list. No purchase required, just the information. We'll be right back after another inspiring message.
When I was 3, I was bit by a tick at daycare, and I got Lyme disease. I was in the hospital for a while, and the antibiotics didn't work. So with Lyme disease, I sometimes have sore muscles and sore joints, headaches, and I also have asthma. With asthma, the air sometimes feels thick and I have a hard time breathing. The air's puffy. It feels like sometimes when I try to breathe, I can't get a lot of air in my lungs. Because of the asthma, it's hard to play outside with my siblings and it's hard to focus in school sometimes because of not being able to breathe and the thick and puffy air. I wanted to go out for track last year because I wanted to do shot put and the triple jab. Well, I had to do a lot of running at practice. Sometimes that was really hard for me because of the asthma, so I actually wasn't able to do it. Well, it mostly bothers me sometimes before bed or in the winter when we have the wood stove or fireplace on. It's hard for me to fall asleep sometimes because some nights I have asthma attacks before bed and it can get really scary when I can't breathe. Some of the things that helped me feel better was, my mom and dad found a natural doctor and she prescribed me some medicines that did help me a lot. My parents also got some Austin air purifiers, which definitely helped. They put the purifiers in each room and they made sure to put one in my bedroom too, so that improved my sleep. We have it in the living room, we have one in the dining room and all the bedrooms and the bathroom. And they put one in my room to make sure that I could sleep better. They put one in the living room by the wood stove. I really notice a difference with the Austin air purifiers because the air just smells and feels cleaner and I'm able to sleep in clean air so that I have more energy for the next day. Now, falling asleep with the Austin air purifier, it's much easier because the air is cleaner and I definitely have less asthma attacks living in the clean air. Being able to breathe better, now I can go outside with my siblings and I have more energy to go outside and play. And this year I was actually able to do track because with the Austin air purifiers, it's easier for me to have more energy to run. I made it to the Junior Olympics and I took 20th in the shot put and 7th in the turbo jab. Before the purifiers, I missed a lot of school because I would keep getting sick from getting no sleep at night. But with the purifiers now, I can have a good night's sleep and I wake up feeling refreshed and good. Now that I'm feeling better, I'm looking forward to doing indoor track this year as well, so that when I come back next spring, I'll be stronger.
Welcome back to Austin on the Air. We've talked about what's causing asthma in the air, outside, and inside your home. We've walked through a 9-step plan to reduce your family's toxic burden. Now I want to talk to you about one tool that addresses both the particles and the gases, and why choosing the wrong purifier can actually make things worse. If you go shopping for an air purifier tonight, you will find dozens of options. Many of them look impressive, many of them are not. Here is the critical distinction. Asthma is triggered by two categories of airborne contaminants, the particles and the gases. Particles include mold spores, dust mite debris, pet dander, pollen, and fine particulate matter. True medical grade HEPA captures these extremely well, rated to remove 99.97% of particles down to 0.3 microns and 99% down to 0.1 microns. But gases, VOCs from cleaning products, formaldehyde from furniture, nitrogen dioxide from gas stoves, chemical off-gassing from air fresheners. These pass straight through HEPA. They're not particles, they are molecules. And for many asthma patients, they are the primary trigger. This is why activated carbon matters, and why the amount of carbon matters. Standard Austin air purifiers carry approximately 15 pounds of activated carbon in zeolite. Most other consumer air purifiers carry a thin layer, measured in ounces. That difference is the difference between a purifier that captures particles and one that captures what is actually triggering your asthma. There are also technologies asthmatics should avoid: ionizers, UV light purifiers, ozone generators, and PCO, the photocatalytic oxidation. These can produce ozone and secondary inflammatory particulates as byproducts. These are the exact compounds that inflame the airways. For people with asthma or chemical sensitivities, these devices can make symptoms worse, not better. The Breathe Better Toolkit covers each of these technologies in details, so it's important to know what you are bringing into your home. Austin air purifiers are designed around one principle: do no harm while doing maximum good. Every Austin air unit is handcrafted in the United States in Buffalo, New York, not outsourced, not assembled overseas, made here. The housing is solid steel, not plastic. That matters because plastic housings and other purifiers can off-gas VOCs directly into the air you're trying to clean. Steel does not. Austin Air uses non-toxic powder coat paint. No harmful chemicals applied to the surface that will off-gas into your home. There are no computerized components, no Wi-Fi connectivity, no Bluetooth. That is a deliberate choice, not a limitation. Many of our most chemically sensitive and environmentally ill customers had worsening symptoms from so-called smart air purifiers before switching to Austin Air. Electronic components matter to people who are already vulnerable. Austin Air does one thing: it filters the air mechanically, continuously, without adding anything harmful to the environment. And now the part of the story that we are most proud of. We didn't ask you to take our word for it. We asked independent researchers at some of the most respected institutions in the country to test our claims. Here's what they found. In 2001, Austin Air was selected by the American Academy of Pediatrics and the Cincinnati Children's Hospital for a landmark clinical trial. 225 children ages 6 to 12, all with physician-diagnosed asthma, all exposed to secondhand smoke at home. One Austin Air health mate in the bedroom, one in the main living area. Randomized, double-blind, 12 months. The result? Children with active air purifiers had approximately 42 fewer unplanned asthma-related doctor or ER visits over the year compared to the control group. 42 fewer, published in Pediatrics, the Journal of the American Academy of Pediatrics. Johns Hopkins University came to us in 2009. They wanted to study whether Austin Air could reduce nitrogen dioxide levels in homes with gas stoves. The results confirmed it and showed that the Austin Air purifier actually outperformed a range hood. Johns Hopkins came back multiple times. We conducted studies on COPD, on secondhand smoke, on air quality for pregnant women and infants. The University of Washington partnered with us in 2015 to study children in an agricultural community with asthma. Positive results there too. 7 independent clinical trials, 7 positive outcomes. Austin Air is the only purifier company in the world that can say that. We tell you about these studies not to sell you something, but to tell you firsthand that if your child has asthma or is at risk for developing it, you deserve to know that there is independent, peer-reviewed, clinically proven evidence that what you put in your child's home matters, and that the right air purifier can make a measurable difference. If your environment is a significant contributor to asthma, and the research is clear that it is, then changing your environment is not optional. It's clinical. We'll be right back after another important message. I thought I was doing everything right to help my breathing condition. I cleaned, I vacuumed, then I realized the air itself needed to be cleaned. So I chose Austin Air, clinically proven by renowned research hospitals to help people breathe better. They're proven to not only reduce asthma and COPD symptoms, but also reduce the use of COPD medication. Even reduce the number of asthma-related visits to the ER. Now available in multi-unit bundle packs. They're proven to help people breathe better. Visit austinairbundles.com today. Welcome back to Austin on the Air. We are almost at the end of our special report, and here is what I want you to take from tonight. 28 million Americans have asthma. The number is rising in adults, even as it has slightly improved in children. 44% of asthmatic children have uncontrolled asthma, despite medication being available. Something is continuously re-triggering this disease, and the research points clearly to the environments that we live in. The air we breathe every day, inside our homes, in the rooms where we sleep. You cannot always control what is in the air outside your door, but you absolutely can control what happens inside the home. The bedroom, the kitchen, the living room, these are within your reach. And for families who want to do everything possible to protect the people they love, the indoor environment is the most powerful lever available to you. The Breathe Better Toolkit is free. Download it tonight at austinAirSystems.com. No purchase required, no strings attached, just the information you need to start making your home safer. If you want to know more about Austin Air's clinical research, our whole home bundle options, or how to use your FSA or HSA to invest in clean air, visit the link. Asthma is not inevitable. For many families, it develops through a combination of genetic predisposition and environmental exposure. And many of those environmental exposures are within your power to change. Start with the air in your bedroom tonight. That is where your body heals. That is where your child sleeps. Make it count. I'm Stacy Malesiewski. Thank you for watching this Austin on the Air special report. From all of us here, breathe better and good night.
Welcome to the largest air cleaner manufacturing facility in the world. Located right here in the USA. Built with solid steel construction, non-toxic powder-coated paint, using up to 15 pounds of carbon and 60 square feet of true medical-grade HEPA, more than anyone else in the industry, we're clinically proven, outperforming more than 100 other air purifiers in government tests. We're changing lives with cleaner air and better health. That's the impact of Austin.